Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Hello everyone! Now, I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube showcasing public freakouts by this ever-growing breed of creatures known as Karens, and they were all quite hilarious. You know the old saying, it's all fun and games until it happens to you. And that's the truth. I never thought it would happen to me, but it did. Although, looking back now, it is quite hilarious, but at the time, it was really scary. Now let me tell you what happened. I was at work and I had just gone outside on my 10-minute break. I walked to my car, which was parked just outside the store, opened the door, got in, shut the door, rolled the window down about halfway, and began to roll myself a cigarette. You see, I roll my own cigarettes. Believe it or not, it's actually a lot cheaper that way. Anyway, there I was sitting in the driver's seat of my car with my cigarette tin on my lap. Inside the tin is my roller, my tubes, and a couple handfuls of tobacco. I had just put the tube on the roller, put tobacco in the chamber, and was just about to close it, when I heard the war cry of the Karensaurus, completely scaring me.
Oh my god, you're rolling a marijuana cigarette in front of my kid!
Now, anyone in their right mind knows that tobacco and marijuana look nothing alike. Anyway, startled by this outburst, I turned into the direction of the scream, out of my driver's side window. I turned my head to see this 300-pound-plus Karen bending over with its maskless face practically smushed against my window, again startling me. Now, I am not calling her a Karensaurus simply because she was big. It's only because she was acting like a prehistoric creature. It's a cigarette, I said calmly. She then stood up and stepped back into the road. She had to be at least 6 feet or something. She then screamed at the top of her lungs,
I'm calling the cops, and you're going to jail.
Now me, being the witty person I am, yelled back, What? I am not fluent in Karenese.
What?
This only seemed to aggravate the beast even more. There she stood, in the middle of the road, in front of the store. Her eyes grew wide as it stared directly at me. She took a deep breath and produced this high-pitched scream that would rival that of a banshee, at which point her kid, a girl about 15 maybe, just walked away, shaking her head. People were stopping and staring at this point. Then she reached into her pocket, pulled out a cell phone, and I assume called the cops. Realizing that my 10-minute break was up about 2 minutes ago, I attempted to get out of my car and go back to work. At which time the creature apparently saw I was trying to leave and began running towards my car, phone to her ear. Now, I don't know who you are, but a 6'3" 300-pound person charging at you is scary. Anyway, I quickly shut the door. The creature then sat on the ground, leaning her back against my door. Are you serious right now? I asked, as the cops apparently picked up and it began to speak into the phone. I then yelled over top of her, Hey Karen, this is one of those newer model vehicles. This one comes with 4 doors. I will just leave this one. I swung my body up over the console and waited. The creature slowly rose from the ground and ran around the back of my car. I waited until she was all the way around and came up the passenger side. I then swung my body back around and quickly got out of the driver's side door and shut it. Bye, Karen, I yelled, walking backwards toward the store, but not taking my eyes off of the creature. And I watched in complete shock as again, she began to charge at me. I hurried my backwards pace, luckily there were no people behind me or cars pulling in the parking lot. Anyway, she came around the back of my car, took a step or two towards me, lost her footing, and down it went, face first to the blacktop. She hit hard. Really hard. It was brutal. Oh my god, are you okay? Let me help you, I said, trying to be nice and extending my hand out to her. She screamed and swatted my hand away. Her kid then came running back. I felt so bad for that kid. Anyway, she didn't appear to be injured. She got to her hands and knees, rolled over into a sitting position in the road, and screamed repeatedly. In retrospect, I should have got it all on video, but I was too caught up in the moment. Anyway, the cops showed up after about the third scream, got out of their patrol car, and helped her up. I knew I couldn't leave at this point, so I just stood there. She began yelling at one of the cops about marijuana cigarettes, that I tried to leave and all that stuff, pointing right at me. One of the cops then came over to me while the other stayed with her and her kid. I gave him my name and my ID. I explained that it was just a normal cigarette, perfectly legal, that I was rolling, walked into my car and showed him the tin with all my stuff in it. He looked at it, closed the lid, handed it back to me, told me to stay put, then went back to talk to Karen. I don't know what he said to her, but it really got her so mad. So she then started yelling at the cops. They told her to get in her car and leave, and her kid was literally begging her to go. Now, I don't care how mad I was at a cop, I would never do what she did next. And I'm not sure what part of her little Karen-saurus mind told her that doing it would be a good thing to do. But as her daughter was trying to drag her away by her left arm, she balled up her right fist and side punched one of the cops, hammer style, right in the chest. Bad idea. The cop grabbed her right arm, spun her around, grabbed her left arm out of her daughter's grasp, slammed her on the hood of their car, cuffed her, and put her in the back of it. All the while she was kicking, screaming, and thrashing her body all around. That was quite a sight to see. The cops were nice enough to take her daughter with them as well. To the police station, I guess. As one of the cops got in a car, he told me I could leave. So I walked back into the store as the car drove away. I went to my boss and told him what happened. He said he watched most of it through the large picture window at the front of the store and told me to go back to work. So I did. As I walked back to my department, I realized something. After everything that just happened, the main reason I even went outside in the first place was to have a cigarette, which I didn't even get to have. Thanks, Karen. This happened when I was a manager at a pizza delivery store in my town. You know which one. The good one. Let me tell you just a little bit about my town. It's tiny, and it's used to be called a city, but in the past few years, they changed it to town. I have no idea why, but if that doesn't scream small, rural area, I don't know what does. That being said, the store wasn't all that busy compared to other stores. This left us really slow at night, and all the staff we would need was a closing manager and a closing driver from 8 p.m. on. To be honest, closing sucks. Anyone that's worked in food and closed knows that nothing is worse than those late night customers and the hassle of getting home at 3 a.m. I sure do, but that's one thing about this small town store I loved. We would die down around 8:10. I could slowly close and clean the store with only leaving the essentials until we actually closed at midnight. This was awesome because it allowed the driver and myself to leave as early as 5 minutes past on a fairly regular basis. Anyone that has worked in delivering food knows where to expect tips and where not to expect tips. Your local Section 8 housing is typically a dry spot. If you walk out with 2 quarters, a dime, and a couple pennies, consider yourself lucky. But there is something very special about our location Section 8. That is the complex police. Oh, scary. They have this guy suited up and looks like a legit cop. Except he doesn't have a gun, and he has no authority. But they do give him a jeep that has blue lights and say apartment police on it. This guy, for whatever reason, has it out for delivery drivers from all the pizza places in town. I know because we sometimes hired ex-workers from the other stores and they know him on a first-name basis. If the guy didn't look like he would kidnap a child right after he finished clipping his toes for his toenail collection, I would potentially hire him because he takes his job so seriously. This Section 8 driveway has a few speed bumps as well as posted 5 miles per hour signs that are handwritten, I think by our cop. My main full-time driver gives him a call in the middle of the shift one day and says that the guy has pulled him over for speeding in the complex. My driver says the police want to talk to the manager, so I get on the phone with him and he tells me that I need to come to the complex and talk with him as well as write up my employee. I told him I can't leave the store, and you can't detain my driver. He knows I'm right. He told me that if he catches him again, he will call the cops. Okay, roll eyes. So the day goes on and the driver and I laugh it out. The next day we are working together again, as usual, because most of my workers are students that drive part-time and can close. So around 8 o'clock we got an order for section 8. Sure enough, 10 minutes go by and I'm getting a call. My driver parked in the parking lot to make a delivery, and when he came back out of the apartment, he saw the cop sitting in his car and they made eye contact. The cop immediately pulls up behind my driver's car and has him plugged in. He said he's detaining him until the real police show up because he's parked without a parking permit. At this point I think this is a joke because yesterday he may or may not been speeding. The guy definitely does not have a radar gun, but just how mad could this guy be? So I tell my driver to just wait for the cops and talk to them. Maybe a half hour goes by and my driver gets back to the store to report to me what happened. The cops did not write him a speeding ticket, but the cops told the complex police that he could ban him from coming back to the property even if it's for work. So we now have a written notice to not take delivery orders to the worst tipping customers in town, as well as to never be harassed by this douchebag police guy again. I know I'm lurking on how bad of a guy this complex police was, but just know that the people in the Section 8's housing would always call last minute to order food 5 minutes before closing, and then call back and complain so they could get free credit and use it in the next night, all without leaving a tip. This was infuriating because we knew that they were abusing the system as well as wasting our driver's time. On top of all that, we have to take out all the ingredients and use clean dishes to prepare the order and re-wash, and just do a bunch of extra work keeping us there for at least another half hour as well as waiting for the driver to get back from the delivery to add the money to the till to prepare the nightly deposit. All in all, late night orders suck. That being said, with our new permit of duck coffery, when my closing driver and I get a call late night from Section 8 to ruin our night, it's oh sorry, your complex police have banned our driver from delivering to your place. Oh, what's that? You'll just pick it up? Sorry. Pickup closes at 10 p.m. Sorry for the inconvenience. Have a nice night. Thanks a lot, officer. One of the biggest issues we encountered back in the warehouse days was the area manager. He went out of his way in the most ridiculous policy-violating ways to make customers happy. One random Wednesday, I was deep in unpacking stock when the area manager came walking out into the warehouse with a smug-looking fake-haired lady. He says, "Hey, please make sure this lady gets a free rug of her choice." Okay. This lady struts around the warehouse and finally picks this horrid gray and aqua blue fluffy rug. The area manager instructs me to pick up the rug and walk it out to her car. As we walk back to the warehouse, the area manager explains and justifies himself. Apparently, the company screwed up her order, so they silenced her complaints with a free rug. Was that the end of it? Nope. A month later, this lady is walking through the warehouse, and I immediately recognize her and tell her that she can't be back here. The area manager walks back and says, "Ah, lady, you're here for your free rug?" And the customer says, "Yes." And the process repeats itself. The customer selects a rug, and the area manager makes me load it. I turn to the area manager as she drives away. I ask him, didn't you already give her a rug?" No, I didn't." Okay. 5 months pass, and the area manager comes back into the warehouse. He says to me,
Hey, there is a customer coming in this weekend. We messed up her order and we are giving her a free rug.
Me confused? Is this a rug witch?
Huh? Yes! How did you know?
Because you've already given her a rug.
Well, when she shows up, make sure you give her whatever rug she wants.
But she's already got 2 rugs.
When she comes in, you better give this lady a rug.
With that, the area manager storms out. Initially, I'm so mad. This lady is scamming us, and the area manager is either too stupid or too lazy to stop it. I begin to formulate a plan, but a few steps need to happen. On my lunch break, I make my way into the records room and find the paper trail on the rug witch. Her original sofa order, her cancelled order, her customer service complaints, the initial free rug approval from the area manager, and records of the 2 rugs given to her on both separate occasions. I make copies of all of these, and the next morning, I begin my plan. I text the area manager, playing the idiot. Me via text, "Boss, what do I do if the rug witch comes in?"
Didn't you listen to me? When she comes in, give her a rug.
You got it, boss. Absolutely. Rug witch comes in that afternoon, and with a smile on my face, I help her locate her rug and load it up. A month later, she's back. "Hey, how about that free rug?" You got it. Rug witch came in another 7 times, and every time, as per my area manager's text, I gave her a rug. Fast forward to our audit 6 months later. The area manager and the auditor are going through our warehouse. They stop at the cage that holds our rugs, and surprise, surprise, we are at a $4,000 in rugs. Where could they be? The area manager starts flipping out, and I very politely hand over the documentation, including the text showing the area manager asking me to give a rug to this lady whenever she comes in. The auditor grabs the papers I hand him and storms up to the general manager's office. Shortly after, the area manager was transferred to another district that had a smaller amount of responsibilities, and the rug witch was banned from all the stores. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.